Hello and welcome to Business Today Television. I am Siddharth Zarabi and with me Chandraprakash Gurnani, the CEO and MD of Tech Mahindra. Welcome to the studio here. It started snowing again and you walked to get here, so thank you very much. The first thing I want to ask you, you tweeted that you walked 7 miles in -11. It's around -9 right now. How did that go?
No, let's be. It was a good typographical error. I only walked 0.7 miles. If I walked 7 miles in Davos, I would reach Gloucester. Or maybe some other country.
I'm glad I brought that up right up. And last year, 9 months back, in summer, in much more pleasant weather, we spoke about the economy, the outlook for Indian IT companies. There was optimism in the air with you and so many other executives. But now there seems to be a very high degree of pessimism when it comes to global growth. What's your own view?
You know, personally, I would like to not say that anything that is happening today is uniform. The reality is, in the last 1 month or so, I would have traveled to most parts of Asia, most parts of Middle East, and some parts of Europe. Japan is very upbeat, Australia is upbeat, Middle East is very upbeat, and India, of course, is a growth story. Europe, you know, it was heartening to see the positivity is coming back. So, in my opinion, while there are external factors, and I'm not denying the external factors, and also the way Fed would respond to those external factors, a lot will depend on the economy, on the way US economy does. But I would like to reiterate that the technology spend may have 1 or 2 quarters of relatively slow decision making, but overall the demand of technology is inherent and is high.
So delayed, deferred, but not dropped when it comes to your clients and others with regard to technology. What will drive decision making and towards what kind of technologies? Because we are already seeing some evidence of that. What's your own assessment?
So if you were to just step up a minute, then you're basically, when you talk to the CXO suite, you're talking about cost transformation, you're talking about business transformation, and you're also talking about long-term investments for growth. Now, when we discuss cost transformation, so Europe, the most of the storyboarding is now around cost transformation. When you go and talk to the clients in Asia, we are now talking about more business transformation continued or digital transformation. I think when you go to the clients in Middle East, we are talking about growth transformation. That means, can they add another adjacency to the business?
Okay.
Can my clients acquire other businesses? And how do we integrate them together?
So the European cost transformation is like akin to cost cutting or consolidation? What does that mean really?
So cost transformation has various elements. I mean, sometimes it is slowing down on the non-profitable business. Cost transformation at times also means is changing your geographic mix or changing your employee mix, or sometimes it is also about changing your product mix because you need to do your yield management. So I do believe that cost transformation is basically taking into account that you built your business assumptions on a certain principles, whether they are growth or whether they are about, you know, the business offtakes. And now today you have to align yourself to the new realities and the new costs.
Okay. One of the features of Indian IT, and this is something that a lot of executives have been telling us about, is its ability to deploy at massive scale and obviously at cost. And when it comes to the low price capabilities, have they been impacted by what's been happening in the last year or so?
You know, Indian IT probably grew on the high availability and lower costs. I don't think that's going away. More important is focus of Indian IT, and particularly I can say about Tech Mahindra, is about value creation. Now, value creation clearly means is that you're talking to a client about launching a new service in Metaverse and creating an alternate dealer network. Now, that's just an example. Talking to an education company and talking about setting up alternate way of teaching or classrooms. So, I think the basics have not changed, but a narrative has changed dramatically, because now we are now discussing in a language which is more business oriented and which also talks about how to deploy resources to get end results. It doesn't matter whether you're in media and you're driving digital consumption.
Right.
Now, when you drive digital consumption, you don't throw in that I will put in 10 bodies and do your Web 3.0.
Okay. I don't want to ask you about too many business metrics, but the one metric I do want to ask you about is your own outlook about how you're going to ramp up, or what's your hiring outlook really for 2023?
I mean, the only reason, Siddharth, I don't reply to this is because Indian IT is used to converting hiring into a forecast. and we don't give guidance, and it's a group policy of not giving guidance. So all I can tell you is that earlier hiring was higher because attrition was higher. Now hiring will be lower because attrition is going to be lower. And number third is there is a degree of automation. Ultimately, AI and automation are maturing every day that when we talk.
But is it easier for you as a company to hire, in what we hear from a lot of tech leaders like you, a challenging hiring environment, at least till some time ago?
I mean, we addressed it. I mean, Tech Mahindra particularly opened 10 new delivery centers in tier 2 cities to address this challenge. We also addressed the challenge that hybrid working model is here to stay. So go closer to somebody's home if you want them to be engaged with you. So Vijayawada or Warangal, that was a strategy. The third part is that there will always be unique skills like quantum computing, blockchain, Web 3.0, Metaverse,
where you'll still have to pay top dollar.
Right. Or you need to invest for a few months more to get them ready and make them ready for the market.
The next question really is a broader question, not related to your company, but I'm asking you this as a tech leader because it's important for a lot of our viewers, including young aspirants. And this is to do with the news of Microsoft laying off. I'm not asking you to comment about Microsoft, but the context is that this is a company which is not known to lay off. It's a big deal. They don't pay so aggressively, but that sort of has sent shockwaves. I'm noticing a lot of chatter on Twitter that is this a sign that Microsoft is telling the whole ecosystem that a recession is setting in? Would you read it like that?
I mean, Microsoft Chalet is right opposite. So Siddharth and Satya,
we can hop across.
And Satya Nadella and you are in the same town.
That I knew that was coming. But what about
who am I to comment? But all I want to ask you is not about Microsoft. All the tech companies that have been in news. Look at their hiring between 2019 and 2022.
But that was the okay. Please complete your point.
My only point to that is their hiring had to be stepped up because the product needs had gone up 3x or 5x. Now that the products have matured, at some day you need to recognize that we do not need as many people to develop the same products. So, and at this stage, when there is a bit of an uncertainty, I mean, would you have teams playing cricket, or would you have teams telling you that it is better that we right size ourselves.
Is the COVID era digitalization boom dipping a bit?
It sure will, because well, please go back and analyze the spend during the COVID period. Anything you could consume sitting at home. Remote working, the need for a Zoom or equivalent products. Whether it was home accessories, whether it was the light bulbs, whether it was those homes becoming digital studios, that consumption went up. And now that you and I are traveling, you and I are now in a hybrid working mode, that consumption has reduced, or you have excess supply.
Okay.
And at the same time, airlines have started buying again.
So will the same sort of dynamic play out when it comes to tech salaries?
I think again, it's difficult to forecast, because most people in the industry have taken into account what I say is a fixed pay and a variable pay. There were obviously few startups who gave you a motorcycle also. And I promise you I never belong to that category. So I can't go and take away a motorcycle.
Absolutely.
So I think, variable pay and inflationary pay, somewhere we will have to decide what is the right mix. Because you have to also take into account is that the cost of living index has also gone up.
And therefore, can freshers' pay rise? Not for your company, generally speaking, across the sector.
I am saying that because the cost of living index has gone up, the base salaries would have to correct themselves.
Okay. That is good news that I want to end this conversation on. For those viewers who've been listening to Mr. Gurnani, that's a good positive sentiment. Mr. Gurnani, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Siddharth.
And wish you all the very best for
Thank
your
you.
next travel. You're a man who's on the road or in the air most of the time. I enjoyed this conversation. Viewers, I hope you did too. We are going to wrap up on this. Thank you very much for watching.